start our show today with Warriors forward Draymond Green, who was ejected from last night's game against the Suns for this swing on Jusuf Nurkic. It was in the third quarter. It was the third time this season that Green has been ejected, the last leading to a 5-game suspension. He served that in mid-November. Welcome to NBA Today, presented by ESPN Bet, here with Zach Lowe, with Kendrick Perkins, Brian Windhorst, and our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, do we expect Draymond to be suspended here, and if so, for how many games?
Malika, certainly based on my conversations today and based on the obvious, what everybody could see, that Draymond Green will be suspended, whether that's today or sometime tomorrow ahead of Thursday's game in L.A. But the question is, how long will he be suspended for? He is coming off a recent 5-game suspension, and now, the question for the league is, are they comparing what happened last night against Phoenix, the swipe to Jusuf Nurkic, are they comparing it to the act with Rudy Gobert, or are they just looking at, again, another repeat offense? And that's a big part of how the league determines penalties. Are repeat offenses. And Draymond Green certainly leads the league in those, leads this era in those. And I think for the Warriors, I think they are certainly bracing for the fact that they're going to be without Draymond Green again, and certainly maybe for an extended period, twice now in a very short period. Yeah,
at this point, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of just how long. Woj, please stick around. I do want to hear, though, directly from Draymond Green immediately after the game.
As you know, I'm not one to apologize for things I meant to do, but I do apologize to you, sir, because I didn't intend to hit him. I sell calls with my arms. I don't fall or to sell a call, I'm not a flopper. So I was just selling the call because he was grabbing me and pulling my hip back. So I spun away, and unfortunately, I hit him. Of course, I need to be there for us to win. I understand that, which is why I haven't been arguing with Ruff since I've been back. I haven't done any of those things because I do understand that. I haven't gotten into it with any players since I've been back because I do understand that. Unfortunately, bad luck. Trying to draw a foul and I made contact with him. But this ain't those same things.
I don't know, man. I was behind the play. I don't think what's going on with him. I don't know. Personally, I feel like that brother needed help. I'm glad he not try to choke me, but at the same time, it had nothing to do with basketball, man. Like, I'm just out there trying to play basketball, they're swinging. I think we saw that often, but hope he, whatever he got in his life will get better.
Okay, Brian, so seeing the swing, hearing from Draymond here, hearing from Jusuf Nurkic here, what's your reaction?
Yeah, so I'm sure the league will talk to Draymond before coming to a conclusion about what they're going to do here, and I hope he doesn't take the same tack there, because saying this was bad luck I don't think is going to fly. As Woj mentioned, he's a repeat offender, and the last 2 times he was suspended, which, sad to say, were within this calendar year, the league announced that his suspension was worsened by the fact that he had a number of incidents in his past. So when you figure that, frankly, just about every player in the league who would do something like this and get awarded a flagrant 2 foul would probably face a suspension, there's going to be a Draymond Green multiplier effect. Those are basically the words of Joe Dumars the last 2 times he's suspended him. So the question really becomes, do they just sort of stick with, handling this situation, or do they want to try to send some sort of message? That's, I'm sure, what's dominated conversation today in New York with Adam Silver and Joe Dumars, amongst other league officials. This is obviously something that is very troubling. Draymond doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. What he's basically asking for, and it was interesting, Malika, he wasn't initially going to talk. It was initially announced he wasn't going to talk. Okay. And then he changed his mind, apparently, and decided to come to the press conference, I think, to argue his position. And basically what he asked for was the benefit of the doubt. We're long past benefit of the doubt with Draymond. He's not getting it.
Look, if he gets suspended for a significant number of games.
Significant number being?
If it's 4 or 5, something like the Gobert one. He's going to come back, and by the time he comes back, he will have either been ejected or suspended from literally half their games this season. I mean, that just cannot happen to a player this valuable and this good. And to me, my first reaction was shock and then sadness as it reverberated around the Clippers game last night that I was at. And I thought what was striking to me was You look at the reaction of the Clippers coach, of the Warriors coaches on the bench. It happened right in front of them. You look at Steve Kerr's very clipped comments after the game.
Yeah.
You even look at Draymond just jogging off the floor.
Him saying, I haven't even seen a replay, no comment.
There's just a resignation at this point. There are no more full-throated defenses. There's not even like a mini defense. It's just an exhausted organization, an exhausted reaction. And it's just sad that we've reached a point where a Hall of Fame level player, a multiple-time All-NBA level player, the greatest defensive player in the league since Kevin Garnett, is going to be at least half remembered for handicapping his team by being unavailable due to violent acts. It's just, I was resigned and sad, and I think the Warriors' resignation was very, very telling.
You know what happens, right, when you have a troubled kid that hate going to school? You know what he do? He's going to act out because he don't want to be there. So he want to get sent home. That's what we're witnessing right now with Draymond Green. Draymond Green don't want to play the game of basketball right now, and his mind is not there for whatever reason. I have my reasons. One, he can't accept the fact that his game is on the decline, okay, offensively and defensively. Draymond Green, not only did he used to bark, but he used to have a bite behind it. Now he's not barking. Now he's not biting. It's all bark. And what he's starting to realize is that bullying tactics is not working anymore with these young fellas, okay? Think about it. He went at Donovan Mitchell, he didn't back down. Went at Anthony Edwards, he didn't back down. So now all of a sudden, Draymond is in a place where it's like, where do I fit in at?
Right.
How can I make an impact on the game? And it's coming to this uncanny behavior right here, right? This stupid behavior right here that has no place in the game for basketball. Now, stay with me, Malika, for a second, and Zach. Here's the thing about Draymond. Bob Myers left. We know how tight Bob Myers and Draymond Green was. So who is the person? And it doesn't have to be in the Warriors organization, but who is the person that is going to call or pull Draymond to the side and say, hey, bro, you tripping, that he actually respect? I don't believe it's Steve Kerr. Not saying he don't respect Steve Kerr. I don't think it's Steph Curry. Why I don't think it's Steph Curry? For the simple fact he's not a vocal type of guy. Occasionally we hear him speak on that. But Rich Paul, LeBron, Draymond look up to you guys. Might want to tell him what he needs to hear right now before his legacy be known as a guy that is going out like this than a guy that was a defensive player of the year, 4-time NBA champion, 2-time Olympic winner, right? Like, that's what Draymond Green want to be defined as. And right now, if his career ended today, that's not how people would view him.
He's still all those things, but now he's also this. And they share the first paragraph in his legacy, career write-up, whatever. I mentioned the resignation of the Warriors being telling last night. I think you nailed it, Perk. Like, Rudy Gobert clowned him. Clowned Draymond, flamed him in his post-game comments. Donovan Mitchell didn't care. Jusuf Nurkic just straight up chuckled last night. Like, man, I'm glad he didn't choke me. And a little smile ran across his face. It reminds me a little bit of when, remember Draymond said to Paul Pierce, they don't love you like that, and kind of made fun of him, like you're not getting the farewell tour. It's like this generation of players is starting to treat him like that. Like, man, we're not even reacting anymore to this stuff. It's very telling.
I don't think it'll define his legacy, though.
I
don't think it'll define his legacy. I think he'll still be remembered. No, I think he'll be very much remembered as one of the great defensive players.
No question.
He's got 4 rings.
It's just the question if it's his
what
first
I do
or second
think is interesting.
Go ahead.
But when
I do think it's interesting, though. The Warriors just gave him $100 million. They gave him $100 million like a couple of months ago. So, whatever happens to them, they agreed to stay in this deal.
But let me ask you a question. We're not saying this is going to define his legacy. I'm going to give you an example. Now, completely 2 different players, but you look at a player like Rasheed Wallace, okay? And you think about the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Rasheed or the worldview Rasheed, we think about technical fouls. We think about a rough rider. We don't think about one of the most skilled power forwards to ever touch the damn basketball. And it's wrong, but that's the perception that Rasheed left us with. So that's the example. I'm not saying it's going to define his legacy. I'm just saying the way he's going out, that's what people are going to remember him as.
Woj, go ahead.
I think how he's remembered by lots of different people. People are remembered in different ways by different people over time. I think that's a lot less important than the time that Draymond Green has with this group that is still trying to contend for an NBA championship around Steph Curry. And this doesn't resemble anything of a contender right now. But, Perk mentioned all of those people around Draymond Green, from Bob Myers to his agent to teammates. These are not new conversations with Draymond Green. These are not new actions. All of these people presumably have been having these conversations with Draymond Green for a very long time. I think you just get to a point, and I think the Warriors have to be at that point, where you just accept that this is what comes with Draymond Green. For all the great play, this is going to be part of it. And the idea that it's probably going to change after all these years, it probably isn't. But this has been an organization that has been willing to live with that and willing to give Draymond Green another $100 million contract in the offseason, knowing that.
Yeah, because Draymond has been talked about. That's the spark, the fire behind Draymond Green. It's just whether or not that's at a tipping point, that it's still within reason, that it's still where, because at the end of the day, Woj, and you know this, Draymond Green has to be available in order for the Warriors to get what they need to get out of him. And so to Woj's point about what Golden State needs now, they still need Draymond Green. And Perk, you took to social media last night and you said free Steph on social media. What did you mean by that?
Free him from all the BS that's around him, right? You think about the situation with Klay Thompson in the front office and their contract tension, right, that they have. You look at Andrew Wiggins, who's playing this year like he don't give a damn about playing the game of basketball. Okay, you're watching a guy in Draymond Green that is not reliable, that is acting out of character, that is doing the most, that are costing you games, embarrassing the franchise, embarrassing the league. Steph don't deserve this. Steph is giving us great basketball. Steph have more great basketball to give us. We cannot waste Steph Curry valuable time while he's still here.
Steph Curry can still be the best player on the championship team. That's the part that Perk is talking about. That's what makes this all the more sad, all the more frustrating, is this guy is still the guy, and the team around him is currently dysfunctional. When you say free Steph, though, Perk, I just don't even know what they can do.
Right.
Because you're talking about Wiggins, that's 4 years left on his contract. Draymond has 4 years left on his contract. The rest of the league is watching all this happen. It's not like there's going to be a huge demand for that. Clay's a $43 million expiring contract. They're going to try to get creative around the trade deadline because they know we've got a guy, the guy who's been the foundation of everything we've built here. Steph Curry is still that good, and we are failing him. I just don't know what the solutions are. Sure.
Woj, before we go to break here, are the Warriors in a situation where they need to look to fix this within what they already have, or is there pieces, moves that they can make?
Well, Zach said it certainly, but when you get to the trade deadline, you're always weighing risk reward. And if you look at the standings and you're being honest with yourself as an organization and you're not a contender, then you have to ask yourself, does it make sense to trade young players, to trade draft assets, to chase something that isn't there anymore? This team and this group, I think, and this coaching staff has to show management and ownership that by the trade deadline, they have righted this. They have become more careful with the basketball. They have stopped fouling. They have made themselves available for games, because you get to a point where it just doesn't make sense. There are only so many moves to make, so many assets you have to make them. And I think the Warriors have to believe they're a legit contender to really go in and make some risks with the few assets they do have.
This is a $400 million payroll, including luxury taxes. $400 million. They have got to handle their business for what they're being paid. Their solution is within. And if they can't handle it from within, it's not going to get handled. Bottom line.
Got to handle it from within. For now, though, we wait to hear what the suspension for Draymond Green will be.
I'm on fire.